Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is the 20th of October, now it's 10 o'clock in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for the day in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. Second update will be a little bit late in the afternoon on my Patreon page, in which I will share additional news that will be reported by Russian media. That being said, let's talk about news now. But before I start, let me ask you, if I may, to maintain friendliness, dear friends, towards other members of our community, especially when there is discussion and other members have different opinions on different topics. Our community is known to be very friendly, and please let's keep it this way. On all the platforms, on all the channels that I'm operating with. After all, it's just me, by the way, that working on this project, and I just don't have enough time to constantly monitor comment sections everywhere on Rumble, on YouTube, on Telegram. My wife and my sister-in-law helping me in moderation during the live streams, but rest of the time it's just me. And please, dear friends, I'm already have not enough time, and don't make me to stay in comment sections constantly to make sure that there is no aggressive behavior or inappropriate behavior in the comment sections. Let's be friendly, please. I do understand that the emotions are high and the times are very difficult, but anyway, let's stay true to ourselves and be friendly towards other members. Well, now let's talk about news, and I will start with Ukrainian special military operation. According to Russian media outlets, no breakthroughs or any extremely significant developments on any of the sectors of the front line, but I will go from sector to sector, from southern ones up to northern ones. When it comes to Kherson region, on the southern sectors, Ukrainian side did become significantly active, I must say, during the last several days, with the attempts to cross Dnieper River and establish some footholds or bridgeheads on the left bank, which is mainly controlled by Russian forces. Usually these attempts are failures and suicidal operations, but time to time Ukrainian forces are managing to reach left bank and even establish some footholds. And for example, in Oleshki areas, time to time, Ukrainian forces are crossing Dnieper River. Also, in area of this settlement under the name of Pishanka, here, by the way, right next to this railway bridge, where Ukrainian forces have some foothold right now as a result of amphibious operation during the previous days. And also this settlement here under the name of Krinky, which is somewhere in between Oleshki and Novaya Kakhovka. This settlement here, according to Russian channels, reports on Russian channels, Russian side has a tactic that they are allowing Ukrainian forces to establish their foothold on the left bank, and then Russian artillery and Russian air force is beginning to pound these areas with artillery shells and the bombs and missiles. And as a result, every time Ukrainian forces are have no other options other than retreat to the right bank or get dispersed on the bank of the Dnieper River. And very same happened during the previous 24 to 48 hours when Ukrainian side did manage to conduct this local scale offensives by crossing Dnieper River in direction of this Krinky settlement and in direction of this other one, Pishanki or Pishanka, But overall, nothing is happening, by the way, in the scale that will influence overall situation on these sectors of the front line, at least for now. Although some military experts, including Dima from Military Summary, do expect large-scale amphibious operation from Ukrainian side, mainly because Kiev regime wants to regain some attention from Western so-called elites and Western media, and therefore next several days probably we will hear more and more about these attempts from Ukrainian forces to cross the Dnieper River. At this point, situation is under full Russian control. Nothing is happening that will threaten Russian defensive lines in this area. When it comes to Zaporozhye and South Donetsk sectors of the front line, yesterday many channels did report that Russian and Ukrainian sides began the artillery preparations in Orekhov bridgehead area, which may be indicator that both sides are planning to conduct some local-scale offensive operations. At this point, we have no reports that the Ukrainian side conducted some offensive, but Russian side did become little more active in Verbovo direction and entirely on this Orekhov bridgehead between Rabotina, Verbovo and Novoprokopovka settlements here, which is quite understandable because it's only a matter of time, as I understand, and the Russian forces will fully encircle Ukrainian grouping of forces in Orekhov bridgehead. I do not expect second wave of Ukrainian counteroffensive like some other channels are predicting. My understanding is that the Ukrainian side lost initiative all along the front line forever, and Ukrainian forces would not be able to regain initiative, not in the southern sectors like Kherson, Zaporozhye, or Donetsk, not in the northern sectors from Seversk to Kupiansk. They just cannot do this. They may want it, but they just can't do it. They don't have enough manpower, they don't have enough military equipment, and when it comes to, and also a significant point is that fatigue of Ukrainian forces and low morale. They are just tired, by the way. Tired of this constant battles. And yesterday, some of the channels, by the way, did report that in Kupiansk area, one of the military personnel of one of the brigades refused to obey orders, and they demanded from Kiev to be withdrawn because they were on the front line 6 months without rotation. And just imagine 6 months in wooded area, in forested area, without rotation. Of course, you're gonna get sick and tired of everything. And the entire brigade, by the way, refused to obey orders. They should surrender to Russian side. That would be best decision of their lives. But they did ask Kiev to let them withdraw because they are too tired and unable to conduct any operations. But anyway, let's continue. When it comes to South Donetsk direction, it's also Russian side that are conducting local scale offensives. Recently, probably all of you did notice that Russian forces are quite active in direction of Urozhaina, in this Vremevsky salient area. Constant strikes, aviation strikes, artillery strikes on Ukrainian positions in Urozhaina direction, and maybe that can be seen as an indicator that the Russian side is preparing local scale offensive operations, not just in Zaporozhye but also in South Donetsk sectors of the front line. When it comes to Donetsk sector, southern flank of Donetsk sector, main hotspot here is Avdiivka, of course. From Marinka to Avdiivka, entire this line, by the way, is a hotspot, and fights are taking place constantly. But when it comes to Avdiivka, I guess as a result of recent Russian offensive operations, one of the main objectives Russian side did reach, which is to put this city in operational encirclement when all the roads from Avdiivka are under Russian artillery fire. And well, my understanding initially was that Russian forces will use Avdiivka as a trap, as a second Bakhmut for Ukrainian forces. And at least for now, my guess is correct. I think because yesterday some channels did share video footage of Ukrainian units in Avdiivka area with Leopard 2 tanks. And according to some reports, Zelensky's regime did send last remnants of their strategic reserves in direction of Avdiivka, including with the Western-made battle tanks. Seems like Avdiivka for some time gonna become second Bakhmut. And if you remember, Zelensky and his associates sacrificed tens of thousands of its military personnel during the Bakhmut operation. And very same probably will happen in Avdiivka. That's why I disagree with some channels or some experts that are saying that Russian offensive was at least for this moment failure, because Russian forces didn't manage to establish full control over the Avdiivka or fully encircle Avdiivka, because I don't think that was the intention of Russian forces at all. Russian side did wanted to put this city in operational encirclement. They did it. And from now on, Avdiivka will become meat grinder, like Bakhmut was. For some time, by the way, during the autumn at least, because during the winter time, I'm quite sure Russian forces will conduct large-scale offensive operations all along the front line, from northern sectors up to southern ones. And when it comes to northern sectors, from Seversk to Kupiansk, no significant changes on the front line. It's artillery duels between the sides, reckoning force operations, and drone wars. I just said a few minutes ago that one of the Ukrainian brigades in these forested areas around Kupiansk did demanded from Kiev to be withdrawn and disobey orders to continue this local scale counteroffensive operations in hope that they will manage to regain initiative on any of the areas on the northern sectors. Let's see what will happen with personnel of that brigade. They should surrender to Russian side if they wanted to save their lives, because Kiev regime may send some Nazi units in that brigade, and these Nazi units may execute a few dozens of Ukrainian soldiers and forcefully send the rest of them to the front again. That's how they deal with such situations. But anyway, this is it when it comes to short summary of the situation on the battlefield. No significant changes on any of the sectors of the front, but let's keep eye on Kherson direction. Maybe Ukrainian forces will try to, conduct this mass crossing of Dnieper River and also some amphibious operations in direction of Kimbursky Spit or in direction of Crimea even. Because, Kiev regime definitely lost attention of Western so-called elites significantly, not entirely, but significantly, and Western media is also kind of losing interest in Kiev regime, and they may try to regain this attention by conducting these local scale offensive operations in southern sectors. But my understanding is that Kiev regime will probably conduct some large scale provocation for this reason, to regain attention, maybe deep inside the Kiev controlled territory, and then they will blame Russia, or maybe they will try something in the direction of Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. They did conduct such provocations several times before, and they may do it again. But let's see, next several days will bring more understanding of situation. And yes, this is it for short summary of the situation on the front line. Before I continue with some other news, let me let me note, dear friends, that this project with several channels on YouTube, Rumble and Telegram exists solely thanks to support of members of our community, and I will be immensely grateful if you will also consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You can see links under this video in the description box or in the pinned comment. That's been said, let's talk about some other news. And TASS news agency and all the other media outlets, by the way, in Russia are reporting that early hours this morning, during the night time, Russian President Putin did visit Rostov city, and he went to headquarters of Special Military Operation, which is located in Rostov. He had a meeting with the head of Russian General Staff, Gerasimov. Probably he did receive all the latest updates on the situation on the front line, including Avdiivka operation, by the way. My understanding is that the Russian side did achieve mainly its goals. Avdiivka is encircled and can be used now as a trap. But maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe plan was to fully encircle this city, or maybe even establish full control over it. I don't know. But anyway, Putin will definitely receive all the latest news about situation on the front line. Probably he did discuss with Gerasimov how they will deal with this new threat from Kiev regime, which is long-range ATACMS missiles that Washington or Pentagon deliver to Zelensky. But well, interesting point is why Putin even went to Rostov, knowing that Kiev regime now has long-range missiles. If ATACMS are there, it's highly likely that German Taurus long-range cruise missiles also already have been delivered to Kiev regime. And why Secret Service that protects President let him go to Rostov in these circumstances, I don't understand. It's boost for morale, of course, for militaries when president is right next to you and he is visiting frontline areas or headquarters. Rostov is not frontline area, but frontline region, I will say. Well, it is what it is. Putin went to Rostov. Maybe he even visited front lines, and today we will receive some videos of it. Who knows? But let's continue. RT is reporting that Biden is about to request urgent aid for Israel and Ukraine. So let me read several sentences. US President Joe Biden said he will ask Congress to approve an unprecedented military aid package for Israel and Ukraine, arguing the funds would be a smart investment for Washington. Smart investment. Unbelievable, man. Where is the fight for democracy and freedoms and so on? It's now investment. And it was investment from the beginning. And as I said many times before, by the way, Washington and Western states in general are using these ideas of democracy, freedom, human rights and so on as a tools, by the way. As a tools. They don't really care about any of it. And well, that's confirmation for you that before now Washington was lying to its population, to its citizens, that they are supporting Ukraine because it's a fight for freedom and democracy, and now it's just well, it's just good investment. Okay. I wonder what Ukrainians gonna say about these statements of Biden. But anyway, when it comes to this new aid package, I did spoke about it a little bit yesterday. Biden wants some 60 billion for Ukraine, 14 billion for Israel, also 14 billion for border security, 7 billion for in the Pacific region, I guess for Taiwan mainly, and some 10 billion for some humanitarian projects, whatever that means when we are talking about Biden's administration. Well, I guess because this is probably last big paycheck for U.S. military-industrial complex and U.S. corrupt politicians when it comes to Ukrainian theater of operations. I guess they will use all their power to make sure that Congress and Senate will authorize this new bill of spending or whatever it is, and eventually they will receive 60 billion for formally for Kyiv regime, but we'll understand that vast amount of this 60 billion eventually will end up on bank accounts of US military industrial complex and the corrupt officials. And also in accounts of Zelensky and his associates, by the way. They definitely have some percentage of this money, for sure. But anyway, let's continue. As long as U.S. citizens are happy to pay for this madness, I don't think anything gonna change. Today is Ukraine, tomorrow it's Israel, then something else will come up, and military-industrial complex, deep state, and White House will rob U.S. citizens constantly. When U.S. citizens will begin asking questions and demanding answers, they may something change. Who knows? But anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that 11 Ukrainian local-scale counteroffensives were repelled in Kupiansk direction. I did spoke about it just a few minutes ago, that Ukrainian forces are trying constantly to conduct, or basically they are forced to conduct these local-scale offensive operations, suicidal local-scale offensive operations, in hope that they will regain some initiative on any of the areas in the northern sectors. They are failing miserably, and in this case, according to RIA Novosti's reports, which is based on Russian Defense Ministry, by the way, Ukrainian forces lost 70 military personnel, 1 tank, armored personnel carrier M113, and 3 drones that were probably supporting this local surveillance drones that were probably supporting these local scale offensives. Yet again, another case of these suicidal local scale offensives. This is not going to change, by the way, until some changes will happen in leadership of modern Ukraine. Because I don't think Zelensky and his associates, including in general staff, gonna change their approach. They will sacrifice all Ukrainians, all of them, if they can. And it seems like they did threaten Ukrainian society so much so that no one, very few is able, or very few is managing to raise the voice, because everyone else is afraid. But anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that according to Flight Radar, yesterday, by the way, US drone was forced to return to US surveillance drone. RQ-4B Global Hawk was forced to return to base in Sicily, in Italy. And according to some reports, Russian side did use some radio electronic warfare system to suppress this drone. That was the reason why US was forced to withdraw this drone from Black Sea area. But no matter what, we don't know for sure what happened, but I'm quite sure it's only a matter of time when Moscow will be forced to use some force against US and NATO member states surveillance planes over the Black Sea, because it's obvious for everybody that these drones, these planes are gathering data, and they are sending this data to Kiev regime. And I wouldn't be surprised if at any point now Russian side will just begin shutting down these drones. Maybe Washington, London, Berlin, and Paris then will realize that Moscow is not messing around. I don't know. Anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that Newsweek, by the way, come up with an article which is based on opinion of some experts, Western experts, and also some Ukrainian militaries, that at this point, Ukraine lost all the hopes to achieve, to regain control over any territories during the spring, not spring, but during the autumn or the winter. Well, we all knew this for quite a long time now. I was always saying that Ukrainian counteroffensive will be total failure and a suicidal operation, and that was exactly that. Total failure and suicidal operation on part of Ukrainian forces, and many of us in our community probably know 100% that this is the case, and Ukrainian counteroffensive failed long time ago. Not now, not yesterday, not day before, but months and months ago. But for Newsweek, it was not that obvious, it seems like, and they went to talk to some experts and some Ukrainian militaries, and well, I guess they were very upset when they hear that, yes, Ukrainian militaries would not be able to regain control over any territories anytime soon, or ever. Yet again, these type of articles, by the way, in my understanding, are not published randomly. I guess Western so-called elites, using these media, so-called media outlets and articles, such articles, as a preparation of the ground for inevitable distancing of Western states from Kiev regime, which may take place somewhere around spring next year, after winter, when Russian side will conduct decisive and extremely successful large-scale offensive operations. And when basically Washington and London will greenlight occupation of Western Ukraine by its Western neighbors, Poland, Romania, Hungary, possibly Slovakia, with support of some other NATO member states. But anyway, let's continue. Next topic is, of course, Middle East and developments in this region, Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And we have RIA Novosti's report here that, according to statements from IDF, Israeli Defense Force, they conducted more than 100 strikes on Hamas positions during the previous night. Intensification is not slow. Escalation is not slowing down, and intensification of strikes is constant. Also, by the way, RIA Novosti is reporting that Israeli ground forces, IDF, basically Israeli army, did receive green light to conduct ground operation in Gaza Strip. This is reported not just by RIA Novosti, but also by ABC News, US media corporation. Also, no surprises. We all knew that it's only a matter of time when Israeli forces will begin their ground operation in Gaza Strip. And also, by the way, very sad news is reported by RT. Oldest Orthodox shrine in Gaza damaged by Israeli strike. Church officials did say this to journalists, and well, sent Proforius, how you say name, by the way? Let me see if there is. Okay. Okay. Greek Orthodox Church in Gaza was damaged in an Israeli airstrike on Thursday evening, according to Patriarchate of Jerusalem and Porphyry, Святой Porphyry. That's how you say it. In English, it sounds very different. In Russian, very different. It's Saint Porphyry's Greek Orthodox Church. And well, in this article, well, RT is using quite, a liberal or conservative terminology. But let me show you what happened to that church. By the way, I did share a video on my Telegram. This is it. I mean, this is not damaged, by the way. This is destroyed. Look at this. It's only some ruins from the churches left. How can you call it damaged, by the way? It's totally destroyed. Unbelievable, though. But, well, nowadays, nobody, I guess, is surprised that these atrocities are committed by both sides, by the way, Hamas and the government of Israel. And this time they did strike church. I guess Israeli side will blame Palestinians again, that they did destroy this church. And no one will believe them. Palestinian side, or Hamas, let's say, will say that it's Israeli forces that struck this church. And they also have no credibility, of course, by the way. Not Palestinian Hamas, not Israeli government has no credibility whatsoever. They cannot be trusted. Absolutely. But fact is that church was destroyed. It did stand 1500 years, by the way, one of the oldest churches in the world. It stood 1500 years, did see rise and fall of empires, but it did not survive this yet another level of escalation between Israel and Palestine. Let me continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that, and by the way, rescuers are trying to find survivors in that rubble. At this point, I did not see any reports about casualties during that strike, but during the day we will probably receive additional information, and of course I will share that information on my Telegram and in the second update. So next news is from RIA Novosti, and well, this is quite interesting. According to Axios, by the way, Washington is planning to send to Israel tens of thousands of artillery shells that previously was meant to be sent to Ukraine, 155 millimeter artillery shells. Well, one more reason for Zelensky to get mad, because he's losing not just attention of his Western masters or Western media, but he is also losing deliveries of weapons and munition. Because of course Israel will be prioritized not just by Washington but by all the Western governments, all of them. So no surprises there. Also, TASS news agency is reporting that first 20 or maybe little more trucks with humanitarian aid may cross Rafah border crossing and enter Gaza Strip today or tomorrow. Informations are coming in that are contradicting each other. According to some reports, Israel will allow open this humanitarian corridor today. According to some other reports, Israel will open humanitarian corridor tomorrow. Question is why border is closed at all? Why Palestinian civilians are not able to receive humanitarian aid since the beginning of this escalation? But I don't think Israeli government cares about Palestinian civilians at all. RIA Novosti is reporting that, well, according to Minister of Agriculture of Israel, Avi Dichter, Israel is planning to create some buffer zone in Gaza Strip so that no one ever will be able to reach Israeli border. I guess this is a disinformation campaign. The statement of this minister is part of disinformation campaign, because of course Netanyahu and his associates cannot come out openly and say that they intend to depopulate Gaza Strip entirely and force everyone, all locals, out of region to integrate that region then into Israel. They cannot say it openly, but that's what they're gonna do. But to hide this intention, they are coming up with such statements that there will be some buffer zone and this and that. But in reality, there is too many indicators, by the way, and I did say it from very beginning of this escalation, that in my opinion, it seems highly likely that Tel Aviv or Israeli government will implement some sort of Karabakh scenario on the ground in the Palestine. And if you know what happened to Karabakh, then you know what may happen into Gaza Strip. All the locals, one way or another, will be forced to flee that region. If world community will not intervene, by the way, and at this point, I don't think world community is able to do so, because Israel has full support of Washington, London, Berlin, Paris. Israel has full support of Western governments, let's say, or Western so-called elites, and they are power still in this world. And with such a support, I don't think Netanyahu will back down or change his plans. But anyway, let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that, Israel Defense Ministry stated about evacuation from northern city of Kiryat Shimon, which is right next to border with Lebanon. Borderline fire are not stopping between some groups in Lebanon and Israeli forces. At this point, I don't see any significant indicators that Hezbollah, most serious military power in the region, possibly after Israeli army, are intending to get involved in this conflict with full force. I don't see such indicators, and Hezbollah probably will stay out of it, if not provoked. And they can be provoked because after all, it's not just Israel that conducted this biggest in Israeli history, if I'm not mistaken, mobilization of 400,000 reservists, when they already had some 150 or 170,000 military personnel on duty. But we also see this significant increase of military presence of the NATO member states in Mediterranean and the Middle East. And this deployment or increase in military forces of NATO member states is continuing. It's not stopping. And well, you know my take on it. I was asking from very beginning, why do you need so much militaries or so much military force in this region? US had deployed 2 aircraft carriers at least, and dozens of ships, by the way, and also additional aircrafts were sent to Middle East, term bases that US has. UK is planning to send its ships, probably already did. France will probably participate. Question is why? To deter third parties to get involved in this conflict, one aircraft carrier is absolutely enough. Isn't it? It is. And why this additional force then have been concentrated in this area? Maybe, as I said quite a few times before, maybe Western so-called elites will use this escalation between Israel and Palestine to provoke a larger war, regional war. Not just provoking conflict between Hezbollah and Israel, but also between Iran and Israel. And in that case, by the way, we can say that if that will happen, then this is an attack, Western attack on China. Chinese geopolitical interest, because Middle Eastern states are major oil and gas suppliers for China in parallel with Russia. And China cannot afford, or Chinese economy will be devastated if war will break up in the Middle East, regional war, with involvement of Iran, which will mean that navigation on the Persian Gulf will be shut down. And basically China will be cut off from energy sources of this region, because a vast majority of oil and gas from Persian Gulf states or kingdoms are states and kingdoms are exported through Persian Gulf. And that's it. And of course, if regional war will break up, there will be no navigation in Gulf. But anyway, let's continue. This information about evacuating settlements from northern cities and villages that are bordering Lebanon can be interpreted as an indicator that something has been in the plans to provoke war between Hezbollah and Israel. And Israel, even though they know Hezbollah is a force to be reckoned with, if Washington and London will promise to Netanyahu that they will receive all the military assistance that they will need, then Netanyahu may sign up for it. It's quite possible. Let's see how the situation develops, but as time goes by, there is less and less reasons to think that this escalation will end anytime soon, really, which is quite unfortunate. Let's continue, and by the way, yesterday, if you are subscribed to my Telegram page, probably you did see that video, that Israel is not just for evacuating settlers from borderline regions, but also sending additional military equipment and manpower. It's not just in the direction of Lebanon, but also in the direction of Jordan. And yesterday I did share on my Telegram this video when dozens of tanks and some other military vehicles were deployed towards Jordan, by the way, which is here. Israel, as we know, is bordering Egypt, Jordan, Syria, and Lebanon. And the West Bank and the Gaza Strip are basically under occupation of Israel. Let's continue, and this is also quite interesting news, by the way. RIA Novosti is reporting that Pentagon did confirm that U.S. Navy ship came under fire from Yemen, by the way, and several missiles, according to this report, was shot down, intercepted by air defense systems of the USS Carney. And by the way, during the previous 24 to 48 hours, not just US ships did get attacked, but also US military bases in Syria and Iraq were attacked by local militia forces. In one instance, according to a report that we see from US, one contractor was killed in one of the bases from one of the PMCs, I guess, maybe academia or some other. Well, this escalation between Palestine and Israel definitely put at high risk US military personnel in the Middle East. No doubt about that. And by the way, also quite interesting news is that Israel is recalling its embassy staff from Turkey. That's it, by the way. That's news. Israel recalls all diplomats from NATO country. This country is Turkey, by the way. And same time yesterday, I did report on my Telegram that according to some sources, Israel will recall its ambassadors from several more countries from Middle East, mainly. This information also can be indicator that something much bigger is in preparation than just a ground operation in Gaza Strip. Maybe because usually embassies are closed before war. Not always, but usually that's the case. Anyway, let's continue with some other news now. And RT is reporting that Turkey, by the way, is planning to increase its defense budget by 150%. I don't know how they're gonna cope with such a spending if you take into account very difficult economical situation of Turkey. But well, according to this report, in 2024, Turkey will spend on its defense 1.13 trillion liras, which is over $40 billion at this point, with current exchange rate. Well, significant increase for sure. I mean, 150%. That's, you're not gonna see this kind of increase in defense spendings very often. Question is, for what Turkey is preparing itself? Why such increase in spendings? That's the question. Anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that Kazakhstan, by the way, made decision, Kazakhstani government, to suspend or ban export of 106 different type of items from Kazakhstan to Russia due to Western sanctions on Russia. Well, very unfriendly move, I will say, from Kazakhstan. I don't think Moscow is gonna be happy about this decision, but it is what it is, man. It is what it is. There is saying in Russia that Russia has only two friends, Navy and Army. And basically that's quite true, really, because formally Kazakhstan is a strategic partner of Russia. Is this move looks like strategic partners are acting when Kazakhstan is banning export of some items, some 106 items, by the way, not just 1, 2 or 3, but 106 items in Russia. Is it a friendly move? Of course not. Let's see how Moscow will react, and of course I will share additional information about it in next updates. And RT, by the way, is also reporting that China will soon fully replace lost EU markets. This was information from Gazprom. And well, let me share with you some numbers, by the way. In 2021, EU did purchase 155 billion cubic meters of Russian gas in 2021. And if Gazprom is thinking or predicting that China will replace EU markets, well, then probably they have some reasoning behind it. I know several energy projects are working right now to supply gas to China. It's Power Siberia 1. Power Siberia 2 will become operational sometime in the future also, and LNGs also are delivered to China. Well, that's a quite a statement to make, that China will fully replace EU markets. I'm not quite sure about it, well, let's see. Novak, by the way, Vice Prime Minister of Russia, in June did announce plans to increase Russian gas exports in Asian markets to 170 billion cubic meters over a 7-year period, which may be plausible. That can be done, but when it comes to China, I don't think China will fully replace European markets. It's already major buyer of Russian energy, and volume will increase constantly, that's for sure. But you know, but when it comes to Global East, then yes, Global East, of course, easily can replace EU markets. Absolutely, no doubt about that. And by the way, RT is reporting that Russia is experiencing severe labor shortage, according to media, which is at one hand is indicator that economy is doing quite okay, but in other hand, it's indicator that Russia do have some significant problems, especially in terms of demography. Well, I guess Russia will be forced to make even more liberal rules for citizens of other countries to came in to Russia to live and work here, because there is no other way, by the way, to fulfill shortages or demand of Russian economy in the manpower, in the workforce. Let's see how things go, and this is it for now. Fact itself that Russian economy is experiencing shortages of workforce definitely indicates that well, Western sanctions, although did damage interests of Russian citizens and the Russian economy in many ways, overall Russian economy did withstand this pressure and are continuing to develop. And not just develop, but, well, as we can see, economy is even experiencing some shortages in manpower. But anyway, this is it for now. Quite long video, but hopefully you will find this update interesting, and if so, please click that like button and leave some commentary about any topic you like. More likes and topics probably will increase at least a little bit my chances to reach wider audience, and for very same reason, if you can, please share links to my videos with your friends on any of the platforms that you are active on. And well, finally, if you think this channel, this project is interesting, useful, informative, and deserves to exist, please consider to support with small donations through PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You can see links under this video in description box or in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a great day and take care.